which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures He chose us to be high. To Him we belong, to Him is our return. Life in this world is only a sojourn. To the angels He commanded that man be respected. Shaitan he did not, and so was he rejected. Compared to the angels, we are but clay. As long as Allah we obey, we'll not go astray.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to our show Islamic Law Today. And as usual, we have today with us Professor Muhammad Naem Asaee. Thank you for being with us. Professor Muhammad Naem Asaee is a professor in several Islamic American universities in North America and a permanent member of the Fatwa Committee in North America as well. And I would like to remind our viewers that they can communicate with us and call us in the second and the third segment through our phone calls. 00202 38 555 248 or 249, or they can write to us to our email islamiclawtoday@huda.tv. In the previous episode, Professor Muhammad, we were talking about terrorism, and we mentioned you mentioned that there are two types of terrorism: the acceptable terrorism in Islam and the rejected terrorism in Islam. And you gave us some examples of the acceptable kind of terrorism in Islam, the kind that countries should encourage itself to gain power to prevent wars that will scare other countries to attack them, which is very wise to prevent any kind of wars. And there is another type of acceptable terrorism, which is the type of laws that will make criminals will be afraid to commit crimes when they see that if they steal, their hands will be cut off and things like from this kind of sort. Now we want to talk about what are the kind of the not acceptable or the rejected kind of terrorism in Islam.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. اللهم يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك سبحانك لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك اللهم إنا نحمدك حمدا يوافي نعمك ويدفع نقمك ويكافئ مزيدك اللهم نسألك في هذه الساعة يا رب العالمين أن تفرج الكرب عنا وعن المكروبين وأن تنفس الهم عنا وعن المهمومين وأن ترفع البلاء عن أمتي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم اهدها سبلها اللهم إني أسألك أن تحفظ على المسلمين دماءهم وأنفسهم وأعراضهم وأموالهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وأن تهديهم بهداية من عندك وأن تنير لهم سبل الرشاد والسداد إنك أنت القادر على ذلك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين.
آمين.
It is very interesting to talk about this topic. And again, sometimes the term of terrorism can be used in different fields. Most likely in the West, they take that term and this word especially or specifically terrorism to be against those they are in the field of making disasters or mass maybe damage, destructions to those who they don't agree with them in their ideology, using many means and methods, explosions, killing, kidnapping, and etc. So maybe sometimes using the word of terrorism does not fit when we are saying that this is acceptable terrorism and rejectable terrorism. If we choose the word of terror and we take from this maybe word the verb of terrifying someone, or maybe the noun is terrifying to see such things like this. So as we said in the other episode, yes, in Islam, we were, as a Muslim, thinkers and philosophers and scholars, they were very advanced because of their very advanced ideology and thought in their Islam and their deen long time ago, to differentiate between what is could be acceptable and what is not acceptable in that stage. And as we explained the other episode about what can be acceptable to terrify someone, to prevent having some terrible things or illegitimate maybe actions, it is very wisely acceptable in Islam. The second section of terror, which is very ugly, very rejectable, and again Islam was very advanced to talk about this kind of terror and this kind of rejectable terrifying or terrorism long time ago. You could start by the ugliest one and the most devastated maybe kind of rejectable terror according to Islamic law and Islamic thought, which is the political terror. When you see aggressor, oppressor, dictator, and he cannot see but himself, cannot accept but his ruling, he cannot dream but to be the only king or the only president or the only leader, and he is willing for that purpose, for that satanic dream and goal to legitimize and legalize everything in his life, as they stated in that book, very famous book of Machiavelli, the Prince Al-Amir, when he was drawing the map for all accessors, for all these aggressors and oppressors. When he's talking about the relationship between your goal and your means, your methods. And in that book, he put this policy long time ago for every one we are seeing right now dictating his leadership by destructing others, by terrifying others, by preventing anyone to be in the field of his country but himself. When he made this relationship to go beyond principles and values, to jump over all maybe faith and belief, suggesting that it is lawful, it is legitimate for any dictator or ruler who has the status of aggressor to take any method and to legitimize any means to stay on his position, even if that would be at the expenses of values or human maybe right or human principles or religious maybe belief. It does not matter. It is lawful according to this new faith and new belief. And that's what we are seeing right now. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take on these aggressors, on these oppressors, on these dictators, because as long as they are practicing and applying and implementing this satanic philosophy, as long as they are going to face a very ugly end, inshallah ta'ala.
Inshallah.
So this we call it the political terror. How Islam was so advanced in this issue long time ago, when first of all he, as we said in different maybe episode, it is dislikable in Islam as a principle, as a belief, as a manner, to run for yourself, to call for yourself, to try to seek position. Others, they are able to fill it up with the same maybe qualification and criteria, with the same maybe quality of doing the job of that position. It is very dislikable to seek this. So Islam has cut the root of it by saying if anyone does run or seek position when he does not have to be in that position, when his nation, when his country, when his maybe people does not need him or is not in need to him as a only maybe candidate to fill that position, he is showing that he has some defective heart and defective soul, and he is going far away from the Islamic teaching and Islamic rules and Islamic commandments.
I have a question about this part. Does that mean that Islam does not permit anyone or to appoint someone who seek for the position, or just because he is not qualified? If he's not qualified, then we should reject him. Or anyone who seek for the job to be a president, we should not allow him to be a president. Which one?
Yes, if remember when we talk about the political ruling system in Islam, for the Islamic law, that no one should call for himself. And if someone was seeking position, those that they are in a charge, or they are in a position of choosing good candidate to rule the nation, rule the state, they should put that person aside in a way and choose someone else. Because if someone showing by himself, by his action, that he is so eager to have position, this is a sickness by itself. And that sickness will affect on his work, in his job, on achieving and accomplishing the whole goal of having someone in that position. That means he might in the future make these priorities for his own desire, for his own interest at the expense of the interest of his own state or his own people. And this is what happened. This is what is going on through the whole stages of the history. When we talk right now about the ruler or the leader of Tunisia, or maybe leader of Libya, of leader of any country being categorized as a dictatorship state, you could find that these people, they were taking advantage of being in that position to serve their own interests at the expense of the interests of their own people. And that because someone was running for it, seeking for it. We have seen this even in the United States of America, in Britain, in France. Someone in his position, because he was running for it, he was seeking that position. Sometimes, somehow, some chance, some opportunities, he will not hesitate to maybe utilize all this to serve its own benefit. Islam was so advanced by saying, from the beginning, we will choose someone to fit in that position. You don't choose yourself. And imagine the same field of this philosophy. No one should claim that he's a scholar. He's alim.
Yes.
He's the grand mufti or people they should appoint him, choose him, give him that titles. That's why do you have some?
Yes, I have a question, because some people might say, but if we read the Qur'an, we will see that Sayyidina Yusuf, Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, he said to the Aziz that let me يعني
جعلني على خزائن الأرض.
Yes.
No.
So in this one he was seeking the job. Am I right, or this will be the different situation because he's a prophet?
Yes, we have to differentiate between seeking a job and seeking position. And that position, to differentiate between position regarding they call it public interest or special interest. Like suppose you are running for a position to be the director or manager of this company. It's a private company. There's nothing wrong with it. You could apply for that, you could run for that, and you could maybe send your resume, your CV, and tell that I am very qualified for the position. You are searching for work. You are searching to enhance your position in that field, engineering field, or maybe medical field, or any kind of other field. But if we are talking about public interest, you are at the position of serving the whole ummah, the whole city, the whole town, like mayor, or maybe governor, or maybe president, or king, or prince. This is public interest, they call it. You should stay away from it. But if the issue is running for a job in a private sector, in a private maybe field, it is good to apply for it, and this is what is going on. It is Islamically acceptable. And that's what I said when I wrote that book about revolutions we have right now in Egypt and other maybe Arab countries or Muslim countries. We should put the story of Sayyidina Yusuf in its content and its circumstances and its status. We should not exceed and go beyond what could be evidence for suggesting that it is okay to run for public position in Islam. Sayyidina Yusuf was searching for a job, and he found himself that he is qualified for that job. And he was not searching for a job within a Muslim state or a state that's ruled by his own maybe legislations coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not like job and position does not contradict with what we have learned from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Inna la nuwalli ahadan أو لا نمر أحدا سألناها or لا نعطي أحدا هذا الأمر سألنيه. We don't give position for someone who was running for it or seeking it, because this is the philosophy of it.
I see.
So this should be put in its right way. I said Yusuf was running for a job to be like the one who was in charge of the treasury.
Like a minister. It's different than being a ruler.
Right.
Yes.
And in that maybe province of Egypt, to run this position and run this maybe job. And he found himself that he's very qualified for that. And nothing wrong with that, as you do in your practical life, sending your CV and your maybe resumes to show that you are very qualified for that.
Very good. Thank you so much. Inshallah, we will go for a quick break and we'll come back, so please stay with us.
Which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures, He chose us to be high.
You have questions that bother you. What about issues of concern to you? Would you like to share things on your mind with us? Are you interested in solutions based on an Islamic perspective? Please join me live in Meet Your Advisor every Friday at 9 p.m. Mecca time, here on Huda TV.
How to be proactive in Islam, how to serve our religion, how to serve our life.
No, we want them to be proactive in matters that are related to their ummah, the true leader. And this is maybe we need to have this, okay, among us as Muslims. The true leader is the one who creates leaders.
So the society at the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, gave the chance for the children to blossom.
Now who took the reward of this? The initiative of Ali bin Abi Talib. Ali bin Abi Talib took the reward because of his initiative.
How long have you been passive? How much time have you lost in your life because of negativity? Learn how to take conscious control over your life. Set your goals and work to achieve them in an Islamic way.
If you really love your wife, your children, your parents, your people, then you have to do your utmost. You have to do whatever you can in order to invite them to Islam. We are in need for these reminders. The main point is ikhlas, is sincerity, is what I want to get in the hereafter.
Join Sheikh Haytham Al-Haddad and his host, Muhammad Abdurrahim, in this inspiring show.
Which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures, He chose us to be high.
Welcome back. I would like to remind our viewers that they can communicate with us through our phone calls 00202 3855 248 and 249, or they can write to us through our email islamiclawtoday@huda.tv. Professor Muhammad, before we went to the break, you were talking about terrorism the political terrorism. Just a second, we have a call. We have Brother Ayman from Egypt.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa
I
barakatuh.
have one question, please, can I go ahead?
Sure, go ahead.
Yes, okay. I have a question. Most of the countries doesn't follow the rule, so how can we avoid terrorism in the whole world if they don't follow the rules these days?
Can you please clarify your question?
Yes, okay. Most of the countries doesn't follow the rule, so how can we make to avoid tourism in the whole world? Tourism of there's no tourism if they don't follow the rules.
Rules of what?
Rules of what? Hello?
Okay.
Okay. The phone was cut off.
Yeah, I think what he meant that this is the reality, right?
Yes.
How to prevent terrorism? Maybe he meant the other terrorism when we're going to come to it, inshallah ta'ala, regarding your thought, your understanding, how to try to be aggressor and oppressor in your thought, in your ideology. And this is the case of having what they call it radicalism or fanaticism, terrorism, because they believe in such an idea and they have to implement it regardless of the method and the way, even it was at the expense of the seeing destructions and killing innocent people. This is like an impact result of the absence, as we said a long time ago, of having a Muslim state, having someone to represent our Islam, not just in theoretical way, but in a practical way. We don't have it yet. So it's going to stay like this, chaos. And someone contradict with others. Different thought, different ideologies. And there's the absence of authorities in Islam. Islamic authorities, Islamic law authorities. All of this will lead to the impact of what we are seeing right now. So maybe the answer for these questions, good question, inshallah ta'ala, just to try to go step by step, inshallah ta'ala, to have this establishment, this implementation, the application of our Islam in a practical way. So we can say that, look, that's what we have. Our Islam is able, the same way he was able a long time ago, to achieve these beautiful goals and spread these beautiful principles and values. Islam is able in our modern time to do it again. But let the Islam, inshallah ta'ala, be applied and implemented. And that will not happen like by dreaming, by a vision. It has to be happen by a lot of work and effort. But start with your mind. You have to believe in this. And inshallah ta'ala, our maybe program would be like very little step in that regard, inshallah ta'ala.
Inshallah. Before going to the break, you were talking about how Islam worked to prevent this kind of political terrorism by not hiring those who are seeking to be rulers. Is there another method?
Yeah, this is like one of the maybe tips or maybe steps or maybe some kind of treatment to this problem from its root before it does start, before maybe it comes to the surface of our practical life. So no one should seek position, no one should run for himself or call for himself, should appoint others or say, if I am the only one to serve you, I'll be honored to do that, but please search for someone rather than me. I recommend this person, he is better than me. And somehow this was going on in the Muslim's mind, in the Muslim practical life, not just in the political field, in every field. Like when someone comes to that scholar to take knowledge from him, well, I advise you to go to that scholar. He has better, maybe good, he has better maybe knowledge than me. Well, I don't know. Ask that scholar. This is like philosophy. does not just maybe stop at the field of politics. It does go beyond that. It's like philosophy from you as a Muslim following the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
It's part of sincerity.
Subhanallah, yes. And feeling the trust, feeling the responsibilities. We will be questioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one of these tips, and these maybe tips and treatment that someone was elected or selected or maybe appointed to be the ruler or to be like a prince, to be in a public service position, or maybe he did reach that position disregarding all Islamic maybe principles and values, how to prevent him being dictator, being aggressor. It's like this relationship created by Islamic philosophy, Islamic law, philosophy from the beginning. You should not leave the ruler or anyone in the public service as someone who has a granted maybe acceptance from its people. He has always to remember that he is under question, he is under investigation, he is under responsibilities, will be accountable for any actions he will commit, he will do in his political life or his maybe practical life. Many hundreds of thousands maybe of eyes are watching him, not out of jealous, but just to share the responsibilities. And that's what create the beautiful and great meaning of the Prophet saying sallallahu alaihi wasallam a long time ago, ad-din al-nasiha, ad-din, as if that the whole deen is being concluded by this word, advising, advising, advising. The whole deen can be concluded by these words from the Prophet ﷺ. Does not mean that the whole deen is just advising, but just how much it's very important to put this element in your life, whether you are husband, wife, or maybe child, or maybe manager, director, or ruler, or anything. Nasiha, advising. Ad-din al-nasiha. And the Sahaba, they were very, very advanced people, even they were growing up in the Arab Peninsula. Very advanced. Allah has chosen these special people for a special ending of the whole maybe journey of Prophet and messengers. Radiallahu anhu ardahum. قُلْنَا لِمَنْ يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ. This advice should be targeted whom, Ya Rasulullah? Coming from whom to whom? قُلْنَا لِمَنْ يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Lillah. Are you going to advise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? La ilaha illallah. قُلْنَا لِلَّهِ وَلِكِتَابِهِ وَلِرَسُولِهِ وَلِأَئِمَّةِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ وَعَامَّتِهِمْ. Because the Sahaba, they were Arab speakers, they know what that means exactly. And nasihatu, you should advise the book of Allah. Oh, what that means? You should advise Allah himself. La ilaha illallah. You should advise the Prophet himself. Even he has the highest position in the whole universe. No one can compete even to come close to his position, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But you have to give advice to the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What that means?
Yeah, especially what it means to advise
advising lillahi means you have to be the keeper, the protector of Allah's commandments, subhanahu wa ta'ala. To be the keepers, protectors of the book of Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, values and principles and teachings. This is the nasiha, this is the advising, how to advise the book of Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, by keeping it, protecting it, by practicing it, by implementing its rules, its meaning, advising the Prophet ﷺ. In his life, he was advised by someone, sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Yes.
He was not blocking the door of to be advised, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we know this as a fact. Ya Rasulullah, in the position you are in right now, the place you are in right now, is it like revelation that we cannot go beyond it? We cannot pass it? Or is it like opinion and maybe visions and on all of this? No, it's not a revelation. Go ahead. Ya Rasulullah, this is not a good place to stay in it, to station in it. Go to some other place. He was taking advice, alayhi salam, even from his ordinary people, from his wife sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right?
Yes.
So he was taking advice, but the big meaning of advising the Prophet right in our modern time, to be keeper, protectors, and the implementer of his sunnah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was respect, full obedience to him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And now when he said alayhi salam, and وَلِأَئِمَّةِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, you have a duty, you have to implement it. You have to keep advising your ruler, keep advising your prince, your president, your king, regardless of his tribe, regardless of his maybe very glory, maybe root or family. You have always to keep this advice to him, not to try to take his position, not to go over his authority, not to overthrow him, not to make a coup just to take his leadership. But because you know that if you advise him, now when he said you advise him, not only you, the whole people, just imagine this, when the whole maybe people of Egypt is advising Hosni Mubarak, the whole Egypt is advising the one who's going to come after him, the whole Egypt, by giving the good advice, giving the wise maybe opinion, with sincerity, with honesty. We are not here in a position of trying to maybe disrespect you or see you down or put you down. We are just here to try to correct some mistakes and help you to do your job in the best way.
So what if that leader or ruler did not listen to the advices? What does Islam
subhanallah,
tell us?
Islam was so advanced again and again that if that ruler just blocked the gate or the window of advising, and he was showing his very ugly attitude and a practice of being oppressor and aggressor, you should not let him go this way. You should not let him enjoy his dictatorship. You have to show strength, power, and you have to make him understand that you are advising right now, you are just saying right now, but behind your word is maybe mountains of volcanoes is going to just smash or demolish his position unless he will listen to you. That comes through the selective people of the Ummah, the nation. As we said before, Ahlul Hal wal Aqd. This very great, maybe representative of the whole nation, represented by their scholars and maybe very educated people, very honesty and sincere, and have many expertise. They come together to form that board or that maybe committee to take this responsibility on their shoulders.
I see.
They direct the message of the whole people through themselves, and let that king or president or maybe ruler understand in very strong, very clear way that we are not joking, we are serious.
Okay. Thank you for your knowledge and this information. We will go for a quick break. Don't forget that you can call us at our phone calls 00202 38555 248 and 249, or you can email us at islamiclawtoday@hoda.tv. We will go for a quick break, and please stay with us.
Which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures, He chose us to be high.
In your standpoint of view, are there specific or certain criteria to choose your spouse or a partner, to marry or not to marry? Maybe that's the question. Do we revise the quality of performance of our treatment between the family members as fathers or mothers? As they say usually, it's not what you say, it's how would you say it. Wouldn't you like to be a good storyteller for your kids? Neurobiologically speaking, child abuse and emotional trauma causes scars in the brain of the child, and this might be not easily healing. What's the exact job description of a father? Is it clothing, payments and feeding, or other important things? Well, I think the job description of a father is merely giving him love and care, self-confidence, giving him sense of security, and checking for the points of strengths to stress on them. What about potty training and its planning. Oh yeah, actually, it's a state, it's a condition. Fatherhood is not a body or a person, it's a state. Are you a good or skillful designer for the policy and the long-term plans of the life of your kids? Join us every Wednesday for Family Issues.
Dear viewers, Hoda programs can be watched in the English section of the in-flight entertainment directory on board all Saudi airline flights, domestic and international. Sit back, relax and enjoy watching Hoda's entertaining and enlightening shows on your trip. Hoda wishes you a safe and successful journey. Hoda, a light in every home.
Which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures, He chose us to be high.
Welcome back. Before going to the break, Professor Muhammad, you were talking about that in Islam there are solutions for those who, when they become rulers and they became dictators, that dinun nasiha, the people have the right to give this ruler the advice, and at the same time to give him the message that if he doesn't follow these advices and he keep doing wrong, they have the right to impeach him in a way or another.
Yes.
Is there any other thing you would like to add to this
Just
point?
to have enough time to talk about the other maybe kind of unacceptable or rejectable terror. Conclude this maybe item by reminding ourselves about that beautiful hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, just to make the issue of changing the attitude of aggressive ruler. It's like part of your faith, part of your responsibility as a citizen, as a person within this family. It is a big issue in your life, should be. When he said عليه الصلاة والسلام إن الناس إذا رأوا الظالم ولم يأخذوا على يديه يوشك أن يعمهم بعقاب منه. If the people they see or they have seen the aggressive ruler and they did not stop him from that wrong and horrifying doing, he is in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might punish all of them.
All of them, all those who did not stop him.
Descend all the people, good persons and bad persons, will be punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يَعَمُّكُمْ وَاتَّقُوا فِتْنَةً لَوْ تُصِيبَنَّ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا مِنكُمْ خَاصَّةً. When the punishment descends from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for such a reason like this, that punishment will cover everyone, will touch everyone. Those that they were trying and those that they were not trying. They were sharing in wrongdoing, they were not sharing. Because at the end, the majority of the people will make the different, maybe, judgment. If most of the people are advising, are doing their job toward their ruler, that ruler he cannot keep that kind of aggressive actions. He will stop. But if most of the people, they don't care, just few people are.
Unfortunately, yes.
In this case, the ruler will be able to stay, and he will be able to use even the majority of the people to just demolish these few people are trying to do their job. So that what happened when someone or the whole ummah did not listen to the Prophet ﷺ, and what is the impact, what the result of that? The ruler is going to rule, who will lead, and then you will see the spread of the corruptions and everything does bring maybe unacceptable maybe result according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaching and commandment subhanahu wa ta'ala.
In fact, we see this hadith is applied already. Like if you look at each country that they are in the process of revolution or they have done a revolution, they waited for 30 years or 40 years on an oppressor, and then they wake up and now they are in a chaos because of all these years that they did not even advise or do anything to him. So everybody is suffering, either good or bad.
نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يرفع بلاء على المسلمين.
Allahumma ameen. Now, the other type of terrorism, which is the social terrorism. What do you mean by social terrorism?
Social terrorism is a very ugly one. And this social terror or terrorism is being practiced in everywhere. And in a civilized, maybe advanced state countries and backward countries. Because terror can take some kind of maybe very advanced and very modern method or shape. You could be aggressor in a modern way. You could be modern in a very old-fashioned way. But in both cases, you are aggressor.
Yes.
You could terrify someone in a very modern way. You could terrify someone by a very old way. وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. You could kill someone in a very old-fashioned way. You could kill someone by a very modern way.
Yes. At the end is the same result.
When you bring a tablet to poison someone while he is sleeping, this tablet being innovated recently, this modern way to kill someone. Maybe you could cut the head of someone. This very old-fashioned way. So, but in both ways, you are the terrorist, you are the aggressor, you are terrifying someone. So, in a social life, it's being practiced everywhere. Put it this way, anyone who has a position to be in charge of someone else, he is in a very sensitive and a very risky situation. Either he will understand the message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being in that position, he will disregard that message and he will act like an ignorant person. Even he was a doctor or maybe engineer or maybe he is maybe a very educated person. So if he understood the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being in that position that he is in charge of someone else, like he is a husband, he's in charge of his wife, he's a father in charge of his children, he's a manager in charge of his employees, he is maybe dean of higher studies, he is in charge of others, professors, something like this. Maybe he is at his home, at his maybe ranch, at his farm. He is in charge of this servant or that farmer. If he is not in the position of understanding the big responsibilities, being in that position, he will abuse that position. And we have seen this وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ everywhere, many countries. Just if you talk about Egypt, how someone to abuse his position being in charge of the one who is a servant. He is a guard. He is the one who should clean the stairs and the gate of the building or the entrance of the building. Or maybe he's in charge of that female servant maid in his home. We have seen this, we have heard this, وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ, how they are abusing their position instead of being using this position to gain good deeds and to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are going far away from Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imagine that one Sahabi, he has a servant, female servant, and he got angry one time, so he slashed her in his face. And he killed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And صفعها على خدها.
He slapped her.
Slapped her in her face. And he felt that he did something wrong. He never done it before. He came to the Prophet alayhi wasallam. Ya Rasulullah, I did so and so. I got angry. I slapped my servant on his face. What did he do after that? He said, Ya Rasulullah, I did release her. I make her free. lady. أعتقتها. I release her from being a slave or a servant. She is not obligated anymore to serve me. You know what Prophet said عليه الصلاة والسلام? لو لم تفعل لفحتك النار.
لا إله إلا الله.
If you did not do so, that the hellfire
will surround you and
لا إله إلا الله. If you did not do so, just because he slapped the servant one time. That's why he said, for those that they have servant, they have driver, they have maybe guard or anything like this, إخوانكم خوالكم جعلهم الله تحت أيديكم. This servant is like your brothers. Allah has made them to be under your authority. Allah made them this way. Allah made you to be in charge of them. Allah made them to be under your authorities. Not because you are better than them. This is their job in their life. This is their kind of test in their life. You will be tested. They will be tested. You will be examined. They will be examined. Your test is different than their test. But all of you will be tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How to do in your exam. جعله الله تحت أيديكم. So, don't, if you would like to command them, to order them, don't لا تكلفوا ما لا يطيقون. Don't command them to do something they cannot afford, they cannot handle. And if you do so, if you did so, help them. وإذا كلفتموهم فأعينوهم. And first, you should let them have to eat from the same food you are eating.
Yes.
To have a clothes, the same clothes you are wearing. And if you command them to do any kind of hard job, help them. Can you see any of this side in our society right now? To see like the big basha, the big maybe boss coming from his maybe not villa, not his palace, from his apartment.
Yes.
And how he shout, how he scream in the face of the guard of this building. And if he is going to travel outside, how he ordered that person to come take his luggage, even they were very, very heavy. And he feels shame to help them to take the luggage and put it maybe in the trunk of his car. This is non-Islamic way. This is the abusing of being in that position.
Yes.
ولا
We have a few minutes or maybe less than 2 minutes. But I have a question because you mentioned the husband and wife and things like that. Let's say, for example, the husband, we know that the husband have some rights. And if the wife, for example, wants to move to another place and she doesn't want to live in a country and she wants to take the children to another place, even though that the husband does not agree. If the husband take his rights or seek his right and says, if you don't come back, in this case, I'm not obligated to spend or pay the expenses, your expenses in that place. Is he, in this case, an oppressor, or he is using his rights?
Well, very quickly, inshallah, because we don't have big time to answer this question in detail, just very quickly and very briefly. If such an issue took a place in a marriage life, they should go to the consultant or the judge to say that this is our case. Husband sees that the best interest for this child to be raised in this place. The wife does see it the different way. So the judge will rule. Will see what is the best interest for that child to stay here or go to somewhere else to be raised in this place or the other place. But the common things here that it has to be for the best interest of that child. If the judge said no, it's the best interest for that child to stay where the father is suggesting. In that case, if the wife did choose to not listen to her husband, to disobey him and leave the house of marriage and take the child with her, in that case we call her, we take the title or the status of Nashiz. Nashiz, the wife who is not complying with the marriage life rules.
Yes. Unfortunately, that's all the time. I'm sorry for interruption. That's all the time that we have for today.
To be continued,
inshallah. Inshallah. Dear viewers, inshallah, we will see you next week. We would like to thank Professor Muhammad Naem Asaee for sharing his knowledge with us. Thank you for being with us. And inshallah, we will see you next week in the Islamic law today. So please watch us next week, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Which of Allah's favors can we deny? Above all creatures He chose us to be high. To Him we belong, to Him is our return. Life in this world is only a sojourn. To the angels He commanded that man be respected. Shaitan heeded not, and so was he rejected. Compared to the angels, we are but clay. As long as Allah we obey, we'll not go astray. As the best of His creation, only us did He deem. This for us is honor, this high esteem. His qudrat it is that cause winds to blow. He gives us provision so that we may